Yo dudes, what's up? This is PlanetKeef, I'm Keef, and well, I've been doing lots of product reviews recently, and I think I kind of promised in the last one that I wouldn't do any more for a bit. However, I am going to do, well, an unboxing and assembly of a thing that I've been waiting for quite a while. It's been on a slow boat from China and it finally arrived yesterday, and I'm really excited about this one because it's one of the things that PlanetKeef is supposed to be about is 3D printing, and for that you need a 3D printer, and up until now I haven't got one. I still haven't got one, but I've got a kit to make one from. So here we go. It's a Creality Ender 3, and it's had astoundingly good reviews, especially when you consider the price, which is less than £200. In fact, I got it with a discount code for £140, which is just insane. So yeah, I've been looking around for about a year for a reasonable 3D printer. I follow this YouTube channel, Maker's Muse, which is an Australian guy, Angus Stevenson. Hello Angus, who's a really great presenter. He really knows his stuff, and he does actually respond to comments and questions. So good bloke, yay. And 6-8 weeks ago he reviewed this machine very positively. There were a few quality control issues with the one that he reviewed, which he was able to fix because he knows what he's doing. However, we'll see what happens with this. So yeah, let's get all the bits out and see what we've got. There are many bits. Okay, first bit, possibly the most important: instructions and guarantee. And then power cable with 2-pin plug and little 3-pin adapter for us Brits. A plastic bag with more plastic bags inside it. So, a little snippy tool could be useful. Well, I'm sure it will be useful because they wouldn't give you it otherwise, would they? Some cable ties. A couple of little spanners, a little screwdriver, and some more hex keys, more Allen keys. I've got millions of these. Oh, this looks exciting. Alright, a plastic bag containing many plastic bags with bits in. So that's a bit of timing belt for driving one of the axes, I expect. Some plastic nuts. Some plastic bits, I don't know yet. Oh, they've got labels on. Profile cover. M5 type nut. M8 nuts. Bolts. More bolts. More bolts. Okay. Brackety thing. Another plastic bag. A bit of foam on a stick. Actually, that's a sharp bit of wire, which is why it's got foam on the end to protect it, I guess. Right, badly translated from Chinese, axis passes bluk. Yeah. Z-axis limit switch. Spare nozzles for the hot end thing, I guess. Little SD card which contains instructions and a test model, I think, and a ludicrously small bit of white filament, which people say it's barely enough to print the test model with. However, I've got more filament, so I'm not worried about that. Now, I think this is part of the spool holder. I think that is as well. Aha. This is pretty serious. This is the control panel, so it's got an LED or LCD screen, and it's got a knob, and it hasn't got anything else around the back. Might be a bit vulnerable. Aha! A rod, and a threaded rod, or a lead screw. Alright, cool. And some metal profiles, which may be the uprights. And another metal profile. Oh, a very complicated thing. Right, so stepper motor, another stepper motor, a geared pulley, and a limit switch. Some little wheels, I think. And that's quite possibly the extruder. Ooh, exciting. They're all really nicely made bits, I have to say. Another stepper motor with a thingy. I don't know if this is attached to the base unit, so I'll leave that there for now. And a plate with 3 wheels on it. Right, I think we're down to the nitty-gritty now. So this is the partly assembled base unit. And I don't know, a sandwich with some very thin plywood in the middle. I think that's part of the packing, but I don't know. And a chunky old power unit, which is bilingual. Can be switched between 115 and 230 volts. That's neat, as long as you remember to set it the right way. I think that's probably everything, but I'll just have a good rummage just in case. Right, I've seen videos where people say if you know what you're doing, you can do this in 10 minutes, or maybe an hour. But you know, the very worst newbie should be able to do it in 2 hours. So I'm, given that I'm also shooting video, I reckon 4 hours should do it. So I'm not in a rush. But here's the instructions, nice and clear, I think. So the first bit is to attach 2 upright thingies, these I guess, and I've got this the wrong way around. Oh, a scraper to get your prints off the bed. I don't think that should live in there. Right, it's rocking. Oh, this doesn't look like it's been fixed on straight. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, I don't want to have to send this back to China. Right, sorted. That was a bit worrying. Anyway, so I just unscrewed it and then retightened it with them lying flat. And the print bed. Hang on. Don't know what happened there. Okay, so I'm going to fix these 2 uprights on round about there, and the instructions are very clear. The one that goes on the left has 2 holes near the bottom, that's it, and the one that goes on the right has 1 hole near the bottom and 1 just over halfway up. So that's quite nifty, and yeah, it took me a while to figure out how you screw it in. These long bolts go in from the underside. Okay, so this is the one with the 2 holes. Don't do that. Okay, and turn it over. So this is the left hand upright, fixed on. Right, so that was step 1. Ooh, out of 12. Right, step 2. Okay, fixing power supply and the control unit. That should be fairly easy. Right, so the power supply goes on here. Those 2 threaded holes align with these. I don't think it's brilliant that they've labelled these things, because you know, you get stuff from IKEA and that, and you're just scratching your head and doing it wrong and everything. Having said that, I've just realised I've installed this the wrong way around. Those 2 holes should be on this side, so I need to unscrew this and turn it around. Haha. Okay, that's the power supply on, and now the little display unit just fixes on into these with 2 little screws, bolts. Okay, there's the control unit nicely fixed, and step 3 is to fit the Z-axis limit switch. That's the switch there on the top that will stop it if the motor is trying to force it down. So there's some odd shaped nuts with kind of beveled edges, and I think they go, well, they go in that slot. Okay. So it's a bit tricky, you just have to get the bevels lined up right. Tighten it a little bit so that doesn't slide around again like it did before. And the instructions say this should be 32mm from the ground. But they don't supply a ruler. That's interesting. It's actually about 38. Well, I can't get it any further down. So, okay, next step, fit the Z-axis motor. And that screws into 2 pre-drilled holes on the back. Well, I'm going to take this thing off temporarily because it's in the way. Ouch. Okay, and the next bit has me, well, a bit baffled, but I think it's I have to fit the lead screw, and it's shown in the illustration as being a smooth tube like this, but I don't see how that can work. I think that's just a protective thingy, and we need to take it off, and I think it's shown as a smooth tube because the illustrator didn't know how to get his software to draw screw threads, possibly. Okay, that's fairly secure. I've got to mount this rail to this monster motor assembly, and yeah, it took me a while to work out what this illustration was on about, but basically you've got a big sort of countersunk hole there that accommodates that axle with the pulley, and then you've got 2 holes. Now it's showing the bolt going in from inside the plate, which might be tricky. Well, it was more than tricky, so I've actually ended up having to partially dismantle it. So now, and I hope I'll be able to get it back together. So now I can fit the rail on. If I can remember which way round it goes. Right, I've been faffing about for about an hour. I took this apart, couldn't get the assembly assembled, Put it back together, probably incorrectly, and then realised that, well, I was trying to get the, you know, I need to get the screw in there, and I was trying to get the Allen key in there and, you know, do it in there, and you can't. And then I realised when I got it this way up that you can actually get your key through the hole at the top. Now, a little note about that, or a, you know, a little diagram in the instructions would have been very useful. Creality, are you listening? Thank you. Okay, step 6. The hot end bit just has to fit onto this rail. Yeah, nice. And then this wheelie bit is fixed onto the end. That actually looks easy. Right, step 7 is to loosely fit the timing belt. That goes through there, through here, and in there we've got a pulley, so we need to get it around that. That has to go through underneath and fit into that slot there. And then the other end, a bit easier at this point because there's nothing for it to go around yet. Okay, so this fits on with all those funny little angled nuts that go inside the groove, and so I've wrapped the timing belt around it, and now what you need to do is position that so it's gonna tension the belt. Alright, nifty. Right, well, I wasn't wrong about 4 hours, but you know, I've been making a video as well, so yeah. Now the next bit, step 9, is to get this mounted onto those uprights and to get the Z-axis drive, the lead screw, to go through that thread of brass. What's name? Oh! Right. Hey, okay. Woo, cool. This is brilliant. It might work. Now what we have to do is, there's 2 screws around the back here that you can't see that just need to be tightened, and it actually says in English, don't tighten it too tight. So that must be important. Okay, step 10 is just to fix this top rail on with 4 of these screws, bolts, and then I've got these little end caps just to close the end. Yeah, might need a mallet for that. Anyway, right, step 11. The reel thing for the holder for the filament reel. So this is those silly little T-nut things again, and I don't quite know how you get them aligned at 90 degrees. I think it's a terrible thing. I don't like these T-nuts. Just can't actually tell if they're engaged or not, like, you know, until the thing falls off, which is not good. Okay, I don't think that's going to fall off. So now we've got the spool holder. Does it go that way or back? Goes around the back. And so that's got threaded ends and these big plastic nuts. One on the front to hold it and one on the back, I guess, to stop the reel falling off. Okay, that's all the physical bits. Now step 12 is connect all the wires, and this looks a bit complicated, so maybe I'll have a cup of tea. Actually, it's not as complicated as I thought, because they've all these wires have got little collars on them. So that's X, that will connect to the X axis motor. Okay, E goes to the extruder, and I think these connectors only go in one way. I hope they do. X, there it is under there. So that's the one with half a dozen pins, and the other X only has 3 pins, and that goes in there. I need a trained squirrel for some of these things. And actually that wasn't half as difficult as I thought, because I'm on the last one now. This is Z, which goes down here. Right, there's this secret ribbon cable that goes into the back of the display, and that has 3 socket connectors marked EXP 1, 2 and 3, so this goes into 3. This is indicating something on the extruder mechanism. But I don't know what, that's already kind of connected. There's nothing spare kicking about that I can see. So I reckon we're done. If we plug it into the mains and cross our fingers, it might go. Right, are we ready for the big switch on? Here we go. Ah. Can't actually read it from here. Just set it to auto home, so that wasn't good. Well, that turned out to be a stupid thing. It was this ribbon cable was sort of tangled up through there. So it was stopping the print bed from moving as far back as it needs to. So if I tie all these together, that should solve that problem. Right, I'm going to go and read the instructions, which come on the on a little SD card. Yeah, and ooh, but you know, well, it moved. Right, so I've just been and read all the gubbins that was on the SD card, and you know, half of it is just this again, and nothing really majorly helpful. But I was just about to switch this on again, and I thought I'll move that, see if I can move it, and actually I'll unplug it. Oops, you never know. So when I moved the print bed, I found another little cable hiding underneath it, and this is the Z. So we've got one into the Z already, but this is kind of important because this is the Z limit switch connection, and the limit switch is what stops it from moving when it's gone as far as it can move, if you see what I mean. So I need to plug that in. And also the other thing that I found was this, the connection of, I think this is called a Bowden tube, because that's a Bowden extruder, or is this? Yeah. And as far as I can tell, you just shove that in to there, and then your filament threads through there, pinches through there, comes through the tube, and dribbles out the end, and magically prints things. I'm also a bit puzzled why I've got so many leftover screws. There must be spares, but yeah, not to worry. But that's still not right, because the whole Z axis should come down, and you know, the whole point of that auto home procedure is to get your bed level, so you need the nozzle touching the bed almost, and then use these monster comedy wheels to adjust the height in each corner. Okay, so when you first switch it on, you get the info screen. It gives you the X, Y and Z coordinates of the print head, the hot end temperature and the bed temperature, and the fan speed 1%. You know, it's not doing anything at the moment, it's just idling. So to control it, you twiddle the knob. No, you don't, you press it. That gives you your options, the info screen we were just on. Prepare, control, print from the SD card, or change the SD card. So prepare, we can disable the steppers, auto home, preheat for printing with PLA or for ABS. So auto home, I'll press that and show you what happens. Okay, it goes to 000. So there's the bottom of the nozzle, and there is the edge of the print bed. So I think I need to do a spot of twiddling. So the idea is you take a bit of ordinary printed paper and you want the nozzle just scraping it. Oh, I think that's right for that one. So let's move it over to the other corner. Right, there's a lot of space there, so I'll use the comedy wheel to adjust it. Is that going up or down? Can't tell. Okay, that's very tight. Okay. Oh, complicated. And then you have to do the two back corners as well. Right, now I'm going to try a print. So I've got this the bit of sample filament that came with it, and but it's not on a spool, and I don't have any empty spools because I've never done any 3D printing before. So could be tricky. Can't find the end. Oh no, an infinite loop. Where is it? Well, this is springy stuff. So I've improvised a spool out of cardboard, and that'll just stop it slipping off the end. Right, so we have to get this filament through the Bowden tube. So above the stepper motor there's a pair of spring-loaded levers, and there's like a couple of rollers that pinch together to grip the filament, and there's a hole at the other end between them, and I've got to get the filament through that. So we go to control, prepare, preheat PLA, and a hot tip from people who know about these things: snip off the end of your filament at 45 degrees. And then it'll thread through easier. Yeah baby, there it goes. Okay, let's see if I can push this all the way through. It should come out of the nozzle and melt a bit. Okay, print from SD, and 3 modal test. Okay, test dog G-code. Okay, so it's heating up again. Or more, in fact, it's going up to 200 degrees. Well, it's making horrible noises, but it's making an outline. Who knows, this might actually work. Okay, we're seeing some action now, and the Z-axis is up to 0.5. How exciting is that? I had thought that the screen would tell me how much time is remaining, but it doesn't. What it does tell me is it's been 13 minutes so far, and yeah. Right, well, I stopped it there because well, it's not sticking to the bed properly. Well, at all, in fact. So resume print, I don't think so. So let's just get the print head out of the way. Yeah, so a complete fail. Right, well, I'm kind of glad this happened because I need to go shopping anyway. So I'll resume my experiments when we come back later, and I'm not going to print that dog model because it's horrible, and I don't actually want a model dog. I'll find something that's going to be smaller and faster to do, and try that. Right, so I found some sensible test models to have a go with. The first one that I'm doing now, past halfway through in fact, is the calibration cat, the Cali cat, which is quite amusing. And yeah, if you look on there, it's 21 minutes, and so I see there that the box underneath is a progress bar, which on the previous failed print had barely moved off 0, so that would have taken hours and hours, and this one apparently takes like 37 minutes. So yeah, looking good. And I started this off with the bed heated to 60 degrees and then turned it to 0, so it's still cooling, but that helps with the adhesion to start with. Well, fingers crossed, it's looking terrific so far. So we're just coming to the end of the print. It's well, 39 minutes, it's saying on the control panel. Yeah, baby! Woo! Oh, that looks great. And it's very well stuck. I'm incredibly impressed. The edges on the top of his ears are really sharp, and the corners. And it's just this this filament is slightly translucent, which is a bit weird. But you know, I've seen models where you can see the layers from a mile off, but these, well, you can't. You can feel them, but they're very fine. It's like lenticular film, if you've ever seen that. But yeah, wow. Right, going to print a boat now, but with different filament, because there's only about 1 metre of that sample piece left. So I've got a couple of rolls of filament, but I've also got all these 10 metre samples in interesting colours, including metallic bronze, clear, red, blue, green. Wow! And but I'm going to use this greeny blue, which is extra fill PLA, and I don't actually know what that means, but I just like the colour. It's my colour. So yeah, we need to get this out. So apparently the way to do that is to preheat the machine, and it'll soften the filament that's in the tube, and you can pull it out. Okay, so just squeeze the grippy things together and pull. Done. Get my new filament in, so don't forget 45-degree cut on the end, and in it goes. Hey, I'm an expert now. So you can see the old whitish filament coming out, and now stuff coming out is blue. Yes! So I managed to print two really good Calicats, and then I got a little bit ambitious and had a go at printing a 3D benchy, which, as you can see, didn't work out terribly well. In fact, up until the point where it detached from the print bed, it was working out really well. I mean, this is a torture test for 3D printers because of the you know, the outward taper, the very shallow lines, the holes, the small porthole, a bigger one, and these little archways, and it's coped with all of those really surprisingly well. So anyway, I haven't managed to finish a benchy yet. I will. And then I got a bit silly, I guess, because some of that sample material I showed you isn't PLA, it's PETG, which I'm not even sure that the Ender 3 can print it. I'm sure it can, but it's not one of the standard materials that pops up in the control panel. Yeah, I definitely didn't have the settings right for this because, you know, the layers weren't sticking together properly, and then it just went mental at the end with what seems to be a clogged nozzle. So nozzles get clogged. That's why Creality sent the lollipop, which is actually an acupuncture needle, and it's very, very sharp and will, you know, go into the nozzle and poke stuff out. And also a spare nozzle and top bit, which I hope I don't have to use right now because I've only had it a couple of days, but it's there if it's needed. Anyway, that's my 3D printing adventure so far, and I've got to say, it's been great. So this machine, to summarise, downside, no auto bed levelling. I would have liked an enclosure on the control panel here, but you know, these are minor things, and you can actually fix them yourself. Well, it's noisy, and it doesn't look gorgeous, but it's a machine. It looks like a machine. So yeah. On the positive side, well, everything else actually easy to assemble, even though it took me half a day. That's me, because I'm not mechanically minded, and I managed to do it very well. So if I can do it, anybody can. And print quality, excellent, really excellent. What else? Price, unbelievable. So, you know, under £200, $200, possibly a lot less if you get a discount code. And yeah, I'm just loving it. So, you know, to conclude, should you buy this printer? Yes, 1,000 times yes. Really. And I've seen people reviewing it who say it's taken over as their sort of workhorse printer and replaced machines that cost, you know, £500-600 dollars. So you can't argue with that, really, can you? Anyway, if you like this, give it a like, subscribe, share, and thanks for watching, and see you next time.